25 years ago, you were instrumental in setting up the London Institute for Contemporary Christianity, and we haven't yet done ourselves out of a job. I wonder if you could tell us, why did you set the Institute up in the first place?
Clearly, there is no one reason. Life is too complicated to simplify everything. But there were several things that came together, and I'd like to mention one or two, if I may, Brian. I was talking one day to a couple of students. One was at Oxford and the other at Edinburgh University. I knew they'd been brought up in a conservative Christian home, but I also knew that they were now repudiating the faith of their parents. So I said to them, well, tell me about it. What has happened to you? Is it that you no longer believe that Christianity is true? No, they said, that's not our problem. And if you could persuade us that Christianity is true, we're not at all sure that we would accept it. Oh, I said with mounting surprise. They said, Christianity is a primitive Palestinian religion. What has it got to say to us who live in the exciting modern world? We have men on the moon. They were speaking some years ago. We have men on the moon in the 70s. We shall have men on Mars in the 80s. They were a bit optimistic. So what has your primitive Palestinian religion got to say? It's irrelevant. Well, Brian, I'm not going to tell you how I replied, because I did very badly. But God used that interview to challenge me, not to make Christianity relevant as if it isn't, but to demonstrate its relevance. And that demonstrating the relevance of the gospel was one of the major factors in founding the Institute. Maybe I could go on and mention another, because they do go together. We had a curator, an assistant minister at that time at All Souls Church. He was a New Zealander, if you like, a brash colonial. And his name was Ted Schroeder. And he worked among students in the Polytechnic, and his great concern was to relate the gospel to the modern world. And it was then he challenged me. He said, about my preaching. He said, my preaching was maybe accurate, expositionally speaking, but it was irrelevant. I didn't relate it to the modern world. That challenged me too. There are two challenges which the Institute was designed to meet: how to think Christianly, how to relate the word to the world.